Hi, I'm Ashley, and the topic that I'm going to speak today is going to be about the digestive system, which consists of the organs and structures that deal with the intake, processing, absorbing, and eliminating parts of food that have not been digested yet. The mouth represents the connection from the digestive canal to the respiratory functions, including the structure in which we perceive taste. It's composed of two skeletal arches with teeth that can take the name of the upper jaw and lower jaw. It is defined anteriorly by the tongue and posteriorly by the throat. The epiglottis, instead, is located at the root of the tongue and is elastic cartilage and is being rediscovered mucosa that can close during swallowing to prevent saliva and chewed food to end up in the airways. The pharynx is a muscular mucosal structure and is a passage that puts the throat in contact with the esophagus. It is also the first digestive tract and a structure for the upper airways. Once passed through the pharynx, the bolus will go into the esophagus, while the air coming from the nose will be directed into the larynx. The esophagus, instead, is a muscle mucosal organ located between the larynx and the stomach. The chewed food gets partially digested by the saliva enzymes, which works as a passage to the next organ of the alimentary canal. The stomach is the organ of the digestive system, and food gets digested through gastric juices and communicates the upper part with the esophagus through a valve called cardia. The cardia pylorus in the lower part with the small intestine has the function of regulating the access of gastric contents to the intestine. The liver is the largest gland in a human body, which can eliminate toxic substances, intervening in the digestive process by favoring the transformation of foods ingested through the emulsion of fats and the synthesis of cholesterol, glucose, and triglycerides. The pancreas is a gland located in the upper part of the abdomen that produces pancreatic juice. This liquid actually contains many enzymes such as lipases, amylases, etc., and is essential for completing the digestive process. The small intestine, covered by the intestinal villi to absorb nutrients, is the longest part of the intestine in the human body, almost 7 meters, and it is administered into the three parts: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum, connected to the large intestine through the ileocecal valve. The large intestine, instead, is an organ about 1.5 meters long that forms the final part of the digestive system, connected in its terminal part to the anal orifice. In this last portion of the intestine, actually, the digestive process is completed through the absorption, fermentation, and evacuation of ingested foods. Overall, the digestive system has an essential function to assume and process foods. Chemical digestion involves the secretions of enzymes throughout the digestive tract. These enzymes break the chemical bonds that hold food particles together. This allows food to be broken down into small digestible parts. The mechanical digestion begins in the mouth with just chewing, then moves to churn in the stomach and segmentation in the small intestine. Peristalsis is also part of mechanical digestion, which refers into involuntary contractions and relaxations of the muscles of the esophagus, stomach, and the intestines to break down food and move it through the digestive system. For example, lipases are water-soluble enzymes that catalyze the digestion of dietary lipids, breaking down the bond that connects the hydroxyl groups of glycerol to long-chain fatty acids. In the absence of lipase, the absorption of fats does not occur precisely. In fact, part of the dietary lipids passes into the stool, causing an abundant emission of pasty excrements. Lactase, instead, is an enzyme responsible for the digestion of sugar characteristic of milk. This protein is accountable for the enzymatic hydrolysis of lactose into glucose and galactose. Lactose is a common disaccharide of milk and its derivatives. In 100 grams of cow's milk, it contains about 5 grams, while in breast milk the percentage content is close to 7% of weight. However, in order to function and produce the energy required, the human body needs nutrients provided by food. For a healthy and balanced diet, it must be included at least one food for each group. For example, Group 1 contain meat, fish, and eggs. They provide high-quality proteins and amino acids essential for cell growth and renewal. Their intake provides vitamin B, such as iron, which is easily absorbed by the body cells. Although care must be taken because they are rich in cholesterol and saturated fats, which, if introduced in excess, can cause metabolic diseases. The second group is contained by milk and derivatives. It includes all types of milk, including condensed or powdered milk and all processing derivatives, such as yogurt, dairy products, and cheeses. Milk is a necessary food in our diet from the first month of life, covering the necessary energy for growth. It is rich in proteins, with high biological fats, easily digestible sugars, and vitamins. The third group is contained by cereals. Rice, corn, millet, barley, oats, rye, wheat are all cereals that represent this group. Wheat or grain are divided into durum wheat, which give rise to semolina, with large granules used to produce pasta, for example. The second sector, it could be soft wheat, from which white flours are obtained to produce bread, or starch used in bakery preparations. The fourth group include vegetables and fruit. Vegetables are an excellent source of fiber, particularly in carrots, peppers, tomatoes, apricots, and melons. They generally have a shallow calorie content and contain few proteins and lipids. But the fruit can have a stiff consistency made of soft and juicy tissues, of which we find simple sugars, mineral salts, and vitamins. The fifth group, the last but not the least, it contains seasoning fats. It includes animal fats or vegetable oil or vegetable origin, butter, olive oil, and seeds, or margarine, lard, etc. Many of the nutritional characteristics of the oil are due to its most represented constituent, which is the oleic acid, which has productive action really and against cardiovascular diseases. For example, extra virgin olive oil has an acidity of less than 1% received from the pressing of high quality olives without being subject to chemical manipulations.